Exceptionals, happy Thursday. Happy Thursday to you. Hope you've been having a wonderful week. Hope you've had a sensational day. Really excited to have you guys here tonight. Lots happening. Plenty to work through. Hope you've had a sensational day. Really looking forward to presenting Fear to Fab tonight. Who's in the early birds tonight? There's some good people in here. I'll get a list coming up shortly. I'll just make sure I've got all these settings good to go. I'll get a list of everyone in the room in a moment. Heather's here, Grant's here, Gail's here. Hello, Gail. Barbara, Sam's in the room. Tracy, Jenny, Elsa. Had a good chat with you yesterday, Elsa. Liz, Leah, Sarah, Carolyn, Anwin, Fiona. Good work, folks. I'll put my microphone down. Hope you can still hear me okay. Now, I'll put in the chat box the link to the worksheet. So if you have a printer handy, I thoroughly urge you to print out at least at a minimum page 2 of the worksheet. That will help you plenty. Now, hopefully you can see that okay. Why can't I see it? Let's see. Did you get that link to everybody? Yep. Chat unmuted. That's okay. Right here. Write your message here. All right. Well, maybe I'll pop it in there. Anyway, we'll see. For some reason, that's not going. I'm not seeing any. Oh, there we go. Yep. Oh, for some reason, I'm not seeing it all. Yep. Jan says, hi, Marcus and fellow exceptionals. That's good. All right. I don't see all the chat box for some reason, but that's all right. Oh, there we go. I can see the link. Cool. Great. That's fabulous. Thank you, Karen. Cool. So it's 8:02 by my reckoning, folks, which means that I like to get started as close to on time as possible. So for those of you that have taken time out of your busy day to make it here on time, I'll get started. This webinar is recorded. So for those people that get on here a little bit late, which does tend to happen, they can see their recording. I'm coming to you live from Table View Cafe down here in good old Brunswick Heads. My internet at home is not the best. So I come down here. When they're closed at night, they give me a key. I come on in and I perform these webinars from this beautiful cafe, and it makes it easy to. I can talk as loud as I want, as you know. I'm a loud talker. I don't know if I told you this, but when I go for a walk, so I come down here pretty much every morning, and I work from about 9 o'clock till lunchtime. Although with daylight savings finishing, it's now about 8:30. Even though it might have been 8 o'clock this morning. Loving a bit of early light in the morning. But when I go for a walk around here and call people, there's a guy in town that there's a number of people that don't like my loud voice. If you like the quiet, then you might not like my loud voice. But there's a guy in town that gets really grumpy at my loud voice. He tells me off when I'm walking around town, having a chat. I might be talking to Damo, I might be making some other business call, and anyway, there's a grumpy man in town that doesn't like me because I talk too loud. But anyway, that's not what tonight's webinar is all about. It's all about going from fear to fab. And as you can tell, I like to talk. So I put slides together for webinars like tonight. That keeps me to time, respects your time. And then at the end of tonight, I will stay here for as long as it takes to answer any questions that you have on going from fear to fab, on clarifying your life purpose. As you know, I love life purpose. This is where I come to play. So don't leave anything on the table tonight, folks. Ask any question you want. I'll generally go through all the comments at the end of the webinar. I'll go through, and if there's anything that I've missed, I will hang back, answer those questions with you. So what I'll do, folks, I will get underway. I'm just going to make sure. Yep, I've got that ready to go. I'll just check here. Doing a little bit of a different structure with my slides tonight, so I'll make sure that's ready to go, which it is. So watch this. I'll press this button, and then up comes the slides. Voila. Good. I hope you can see that. We're going from fear to fab. 3 steps to clarify your life purpose. I make a few notes, so I've got them handy now. And now we can get the ball rolling. Let's do it, folks. Let's go from fear to fab. Let's clarify life purpose. Let's make it happen. All right. So as I've said, and I'll say it again for those of you that are just getting on the webinar now, it is, and I say this whenever I do a live presentation, whether it's from the stage or into my computer, a very sincere thank you to every single one of you for taking the time out of your day and putting it into listening to what I have to say tonight. You'll never get this time back, folks. So for me, it's very humbling and I sincerely appreciate it. I hope you've got a cup of tea, maybe a piece of chocolate or two. I've got my chocolate pudding cup, although as I look over to my left, it's well and truly eaten. I ate it whilst I was getting ready for tonight. So that's out. That is gone. But I hope you've got something just to keep you at ease. You've got your worksheets handy. You've got a piece of, you've got a pen, maybe a piece of paper if you haven't had a chance to print it. But I'm a big believer in writing things down. I still believe that writing things down is still and will always be one of the most powerful ways to ingrain an insight or light bulb moment into your spirit. Jan's got a glass of white wine. Nice work, Jan. Alrighty, so get ready to write. Tonight, I'm going to be taking you through 3 very simple steps to get really clear on the doing part of your life purpose. I'm going to mention towards the end of the webinar the being part of your life purpose, but if you haven't heard me talk on life purpose before, from my view, there's 2 elements. There's the human doing and the human being. The being is really more important than the doing. But for tonight, I want to get into the more practical side of living your 9 to 5 each day. So we're going to talk about the doing part of your life purpose. By the time you leave tonight, I really want you to have a mini plan in place that you can action tomorrow and each day after that. In addition, I'm going to stay on, as I've said at the end of the webinar, to answer any of your questions, no matter how many there are. My mantra in this scenario is you put the time into me, so I put the time into you, no matter how long it takes. Now, at the end of tonight's webinar, I will be releasing for the first time ever, I did not do this last year when I ran ELB Live, I'll be releasing for the first time ever public admission to Exceptional Life Blueprint Live. This is my annual transformational weekend event held at the Byron Theatre in Byron Bay. ELB Live is dedicated to helping you go from mediocre to magnificent in every single area of your life. And we work on you, and you, let's be clear, are the most important person in the world. We work on you for 16 hours minimum over the course of 2 days. We all go out for dinner together on the Saturday night, and we also fit in a lighthouse walk as well. I'll give you all the details on that at the end of tonight's webinar. All right, so let's get into it, folks. Let us get started. Your life purpose, more than ever before in today's world, is the #1 source of your pleasure and your pain. So Kathy Lee's got her pen and paper ready. Printer wouldn't cooperate. That's all right. Pen and paper. Let's get ready. Question #1, folks. Get writing, and then I'd love it for you to type it in the comments. What brings you pleasure? What brings you pleasure? I don't care how small or big it is. What do you just love? Anything big or small, write it down and then pop it in the comments. And then question #2 is what brings you pain? And again, so write down anything, just anything that comes to mind. What brings me pain? When Melbourne losing, it brings me pain. When my kids are screaming and yelling, it brings me pain. When someone drops a glass, that causes me pain. When I run out of petrol, that causes me pain. When the internet doesn't work, that causes me pain. Whatever it is, I want you to write down what causes you pain. But question 1, I want you to write down what brings you pleasure. What do you just love? And question 2, what do you just hate? Pop them in the comments when you've got them. If you're not writing them down, but you're typing them down, pop them in there. And the reason why I really always encourage comments is because your answers, and I say this a lot, but your answers do inspire people. You might think, oh, what good are my answers going to do? Your answers provide people with a lot of inspiration. It's nice to know that other people are like you. And we also like to see what other people are doing. It allows us to be more creative and have more insight into our own life. The areas of life that each answer relates to when you're writing this down, these are likely to be the areas of life that your life purpose is dedicated to. So for example, if your kids bring you the greatest levels of pleasure and fulfillment, and they also bring you the greatest levels of pain, it's quite clear that's what your life is dedicated to right now. Because, folks, your life purpose is always dedicated to what you're prepared to go through pleasure and pain for. So mums on the webinar, you are prepared to go through pleasure and pain for your children. Dads on the webinar, same thing. What you are dedicated to in your life, and think of it, what you experience pain and pleasure in, you're dedicated to. See, I don't experience any pain with makeup because I'm not dedicated to it. I don't spend any time with makeup, believe it or not. I don't spend any time on girls' clothes. So I don't go through any of that pain of trying to work out what to wear each day. I don't go through any pain with sports I don't really care for, like soccer. I don't really go through any pain with things like making coffee because I don't make coffee. So none of them are high enough on my values to really go through pain for. But what I do go through pain for is the stuff that I truly believe in. So my whole business, my Exceptional Life Blueprint business, I will go through pain for that. Someone said here, what brings me pain is bills, bills, bills. But Judith, what do those bills bring you? You know, is it the ability to call people on the phone whenever you want, wherever you want? Because you don't have to have that. You know, I was thinking today, how incredible is it that we can just call anyone, anytime? It's such a beautiful thing. But we don't have to have it. You don't have to have a phone. Is it the bill? Is it allowing you to have electricity? Is allowing you to have light at night? Now, again, you don't actually need light at night. You can have candles. They cost very little. But just remember, you pay bills on the things which mean the most to you. I don't pay bills on makeup. I don't pay bills on Netflix. I don't pay bills on Foxtel. I don't pay bills on, what else are other things people pay bills on? I don't have subscription services to wine clubs. I don't have a dozen wines that are knocking on the front door every month. We pay bills on things which mean a lot to us. If you own your house, you pay a big bill on your mortgage. I rent. I pay a big bill on my rent. It's one of the first bills that get paid because it means the most to me. So I'm just seeing here a couple of people with tech issues, but I think you guys have got it. Someone said go to the YouTube link. I'll put this in. You can go here. If you are having trouble, click on this link to view the webinar. That might work. We'll see. Alrighty. So pleasure and pain. We're getting a few here. Pain, time, and procrastination. Procrastination, Shelley, nothing more than fear. Okay, procrastination is fear. The other thing with procrastination is priorities. So getting really clear on priorities. I'm not sure if Monique is on the call tonight, but Monique and I had a great call on Tuesday about priorities. I'll share that a little bit later, but we're getting some good comments in there. I hope you guys are enjoying seeing that. All right, so step one in clarifying your life purpose is knowing where you are right now. And I'm going to say there's really two places, okay? And I'm seeing some comments here, which is really going to allow you to get clear on where you are. Step number one, or you're in one of two groups. Group number one is you are scared and excited about your life purpose. This is this group of people. They're doing what scares them. They're truly scared out of their wits. I'm one of these people. However, they're doing what they love and what challenges them, and that is the exciting part. Sure, it has its ups and downs like any roller coaster, but the overall thrill of the adventure is very alluring, and in a healthy way, it's quite addictive. You might also say that these people are living from their heart over their head. They're riding the roller coasters of life, experiencing the ups and downs, and riding the waves. So think about that. Are you scared and excited right now, or are you scared and overwhelmed? Or scared and uncertain? Are you scared and distracted, scared and disempowered? Fill in the blank. This group might have the same goals and dreams and hopes as the people in group one, but they're feeling stuck due to these disempowering emotions. Some of you on the webinar tonight who I know personally have stated that you are in this place right now, and I think we could all put our hands up and say we know what this place is like. And truthfully, most people in the world are in this place. This is when we are living more from our heads over our hearts, or our certainty over our uncertainty, or our egos over our spirits. Now, again, we could do a whole webinar just on that paragraph. If we take this a step further, though, if your fears are causing overwhelm and disempowerment, etc., these feelings are a protective mechanism that keep you safe from failing or doing something of which you are unsure about. But pay attention here, folks. Hear me out. Living in fear and overwhelm to the point where you are not living your life's true purpose is completely selfish. You want to serve others. If you're on this webinar, I'm sure you want to serve others by realizing your dreams. But instead, if you're in this scared and disempowered place, instead you are deciding not to serve those people you could really benefit, or who could really benefit from you living your dreams, because you are scared. So you're putting your fears, your limiting beliefs, and your standards ahead of the yearning others have for your greatness. And yes, people are yearning for your greatness. Burn that in your heart and soul. Every day of the week, I'll tell you that's the case. Now, what do both of these groups have in common? If you are paying attention, you'll know that they are both scared. We are all scared. I don't know anyone that's not scared. We all live with the big F, that big fear. That's why that wonderful book, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway, is such a bestseller, because we all have the fear. Some do it anyway and some don't do it. If you're on the webinar tonight, I want you to be one of the people that do it. That's why I'm doing this webinar. So this is step one. What group are you in right now? You can fill that out on your worksheet. Let me know. I'm going to put a poll up. See if I can kind of multitask here. Create poll. Let me go. Here we go. Write your question here. Are you scared and excited, or are you scared and overwhelmed? Overwhelmed/disempowered. Make the results public. Now, no one's going to know your answer, so it's completely anonymous, but it would be great if you could say, are you scared and excited, or are you scared and overwhelmed or disempowered? Right now, we've got 25, 75, or 33, 67, 43, 57, 44, 56, 50-50. 50-50. I like seeing these results. I don't know if you guys can see this. It's pretty cool. We're now down to 30-70. 30% of you are scared and excited, 70% scared and overwhelmed. Now we're down to 25-75, 30-70. I feel like an auctioneer here. 30-70, it's 32-68. So I'm going to say 3 out of 10. I won't look, it's distracting. Okay. I'll let it keep on going for a while. All right. So my role is to keep you accountable to be truly exceptional. You know, and I've said this many times before, when you're watching the news at night, their role is not to keep you accountable to be truly exceptional. When you're reading the Herald Sun, the Age, the Sydney Morning Herald, Daily Telegraph, West Australian, Courier Mail, Adelaide Advertiser, wherever you are in Australia or the world, New York Times, New Zealand Herald, wherever you are, mass media is not keeping you accountable to be truly exceptional. They want to keep you accountable to be truly mediocre. As brutal as it sounds, they don't want you to live the most exceptional life, because when you do, you don't generally want to be with the people that advertise in those papers, and you might not necessarily even want to buy the paper. So whilst you answer the poll, let me say this. I've been running this Exceptional Life Blueprint for over 18 months, and it is increasingly clear that the greatest way people make changes in their life is through accountability. Now, the accountability I use in my business is interesting, and I'll talk to you about other ways to use accountability in a moment, but I'll tell you, how some of the techniques I use to help people make shifts. This seems a bit weird when I spell it out loud. People pay me money so that they keep themselves accountable. Some people who are in the online program, they pay $40 a month, and that money keeps them accountable to having a consciousness about living their exceptional life. Others pay me more money, which is more like, say, for mentoring clients, that's $550 an hour. And this is where I think it gets a little bit sadistic. These people who are paying $550 an hour, many of them have these big goals and big dreams for their life, and they book a time with me so that for 30 minutes we can work out solutions to problems. And then I say, you must do this action by our next call, or there is no call. And so what do you reckon happens? They do the work. There's a deadline, but because they put money on the line, they actually go and do it. They don't want to waste that money. That's why people often say you should charge more, because if you charge more, then again, people are more likely to do it. Everyone's got a different threshold. So this is exactly what I'll be doing in Byron in July. It'll all be about keeping people accountable to creating their exceptional life blueprint. If you put in the dates and the action steps and you put it all in, and there's everyone else in the room, if you go, I suppose, outside of the room, we live in, when we always talk about what happens outside of the room, it's a world of, you can't do this, you're not good enough, you can't afford that, you shouldn't try that, you'll fail. That's kind of what we recognize out in society. But if you go inside a personal growth room, if you've been to the Wellness Summit, or you've been to my ELB Live before, you've been to a personal growth event, inside those rooms, people are saying, you can do this, you were born exceptional, you must live your exceptional life. And generally, when you've got a peer group like that around you, you go out and you do it. And that's the great power of accountability. I was speaking to a mastery client of mine today, and I got really angry because mastery clients pay me $10,000 a year. And I was having a mastery mentoring call with a client. And I'm not going to name any names, and I don't want to give away too many clues as to who it was. But this client was saying, I need the accountability to exercise in the morning. I used to do it, I'm not doing it anymore. And I said, what are you doing in the morning when you wake up? And what time did you used to exercise? I used to exercise at 6 o'clock every day. And then I said, well, what are you doing now at 6 o'clock? And she said, well, I'm sleeping. And I said, what are you doing when you wake up? She said, I'm cleaning and, I'm getting breakfast ready. I said, you're cleaning? You're cleaning? Like the first thing you do when you wake up, I almost said her name. I said, it's like you're throwing a knife into my heart. You're waking up in the morning and you're cleaning. And you're wondering why you're not exercising. He said, because you're cleaning. No one on this webinar should be cleaning when you wake up in the morning. I said, if you're putting on a lot of washing, and I'm a male, and this is going to sound very chauvinistic, but I know, because Sarah does a lot of the cleaning in our house. I'm not a born cleaner, but I know stuff. I can clean, and I know stuff. I know that our washing machine has a timer on it. And I said to this client, I said, I know that you can load up the washing machine before you go to bed tonight, and you can set it to turn on in the morning. And so that when the kids are at school, you can come home after school drop-off and you can do the cleaning if you want to. But at 6 o'clock in the morning or at 6:30, you are not doing the cleaning. You are exercising. And then we put in a bit of extra accountability in there. And I said to this special person, I said, you are going to tell your child that for every time you don't exercise, and this child is going to ask you before they go to school, Mum, have you exercised? And if you haven't, you are going to pay that child $10. And the moment you get off this call, you are going to tell said child that they will receive $10 for every time you do not exercise. Is that a deal? And you can appreciate that it's a deal. I got a text message only minutes later after that call saying the deal has been done. My child thinks that they are going to become very rich very quickly, and I think I'm going to exercise every day. And I said, great, that's exactly how it should be. So I hope you glean a little bit from that, because I think it's absolutely vital that we get clear on the accountability that works for us, and we all get accountability very, very differently. All right, now the groups. I don't know if you can see these results. The groups, 37% of you are scared and excited. 63% of you are scared and overwhelmed. So 1 in 3, that pretty much makes it. 1 in 3 feel like they're more consciously living their life purpose. 2 out of 3 and are living more from their heart, I'm going to say. And 2 out of 3 are probably living more from their head. Things are a bit more logical. There's more things like, well, I can't live my life purpose because of the kids, or because of our financial situation, or because of this, or because of that. Now, again, they're all very real. I'm not saying that they don't exist. I'm saying that the key is that we must put a plan in place to actually flip over, to make the switch, because there always comes a time where you've got to jump off the cliff or cross the bridge from scared and overwhelmed or disempowered to scared and excited. There's no ways around it. That bridge always comes. At some point, Sarah and I and the kids had to hop on a plane to fly up to Byron Bay to live. It happens. Every single one of you on the call that have done something big, if you're a mum, at some point the baby does have to come out. At some point. But every single time something incredible happens in your life, there is a crossing over. 1/3 of you have crossed over. 2/3 of you haven't. And that doesn't really surprise me. And I think that's higher than general society. I would say it's not 1/3, 2/3 in your community. I'd probably say it's about 10-90. So, all right. Now, let me keep on rolling along here. Hope you're enjoying this, folks. And one bounces between overwhelmed and excited. So then it's more about what are you doing with your day. Is your 9 to 5 working on tasks that keep you scared and excited? Or is it in your mind when you're not at work and you're home at night and you're going, oh, that would be so exciting? And it's that would be. So, which isn't something that you're doing, but something that you'd like to do, and that excites you. But I'm talking about the work that you're doing, whether it's as a mum 9 to 5, which is, when I say 9 to 5, we know that's 24/7, whether it's as a teacher, whether it's as an accountant, whether it's as a lawyer, whether it's as a health practitioner, a doctor, an office manager, whatever it is, the work that you're doing and that level of fulfillment and purpose you get from it, is that scaring you and exciting you on a regular basis? Or is that scaring you and disempowering you, or you're distracted or procrastinating, or doesn't give you a great deal of fulfillment? All right. Now, if you're scared and overwhelmed, the reason why you haven't made that leap, just getting excited, is because, and it sounds brutal, because you've been happy enough with the standards of mediocrity and you haven't had a true accountability to take the leap. Now, let me get clear here. If I know your highest values, and only you know your highest values, but if I know your highest values, I can keep you accountable to living your truest life purpose. If you are dedicated to being a mum, I can threaten the life of your child and you will do absolutely anything I ask, like live your life purpose. If you're a businessman or businesswoman and I threaten your business or your financial sustainability, again, I could have you do almost anything. If you said you wanted to exercise more often, you could keep yourself accountable by telling your kids, as I just said, well, this is a different example, but you could tell your kids that you will put $50 in I'm taking the kids shopping jar for every day you do not exercise. Your kids will egg you on and you'll probably do almost anything to exercise every day. There are countless ways to keep ourselves accountable. The key is to knowing what works for you. Remember though, if you don't have the results you want in your life, it's purely because you haven't yet created the accountability that is going to work for you. The accountability that works for you. And it's different for every single one of us. Now, if you're scared and overwhelmed right now, and 2/3 of you are, that is not bad. That is not wrong. It is not worse than being scared and excited. It's just different. And hear me out here. There is just as much wisdom and growth in this space as there is in being scared and excited. Allow me to explain. Just like physical symptoms are wonderful messages to us about our health and self-care, our disempowering emotions are sending us messages as well. So I want you to consider your greatest fear right now and then make a list as to how this belief or fear makes you feel. Now, just hold on. You don't have to do that right now. But I want you to think of what your greatest fear is, and then I want you to think about or what your greatest limiting belief is. I can't do this because of this. And then how does that make you feel? Do you feel angry? Do you feel anxious? Do you feel overwhelmed? Do you feel stupid? Do you feel embarrassed? Do you feel resentful? Do you feel frustrated? What are the emotions you feel as a result of this fear? If that feels a little bit confusing, just think about your overwhelm at the moment, or your distraction, or your disempowerment. And how does it make you feel? Does it make you feel angry, anxious, overwhelmed, stupid, embarrassed, resentful, frustrated? Write it down. You don't have to put it in the comments if you don't want. If you don't want to, you can just write it down on your worksheet. But if you are happy to put it in the comments, again, your comments inspire others. Other people would love to know how you feel, because then again, it's like a community. People go, oh, you know, I feel that way too, and it's nice to know that other people don't feel that way. So how do you feel when you're feeling disempowered? Is it embarrassed, resentful, frustrated, anxious, angry, whatever it is? If you put the comments down, that would be great. I'm going to go through a couple of examples. Anger. Let's look at anger for a moment. Think of a time when you were angry. Now, I can tell you right now that you were angry because an expectation you had wasn't met. An expectation you had on your car to start, on an expectation you had on your phone to work, your computer to turn on, your flight to depart on time or simply depart, your partner to bring home the bread and the milk, your children to clean up after themselves, and so on. All of those examples relate to an expectation you had on someone outside of yourself. The consequence of that expectation not being met was anger. So you can learn from this example that having expectations on others leaves us open to anger. Let me repeat that. You're angry because an expectation you had was not met. If I ask you what are the consequences of this expectation not being met, I'm sure you'll find that the consequence is what makes you scared or fearful in some way. So for example, you might be angry that you didn't earn enough money, and that makes you scared that you won't be able to pay the bills. You might be angry that you and your partner don't communicate or connect how you used to, and that makes you fearful that this relationship isn't what you hoped it would be, or perhaps it's not going to last. This isn't how you thought your life would eventuate. But again, there is wisdom in your emotion and in your fear. These are just a few examples of one emotion. What I'm telling you here is that there's wisdom in every single emotion. Don't try to stop it. Instead, commit to learning from your fear. Learn from Emotions. Let's look at disappointment. In many ways, disappointment is the same as anger. Expectations you have aren't being met. Personally, I can't stand this D word, disappointment, especially when it's used towards someone else. If you've ever had a parent or a boss or a superior tell you that they are disappointed in you, then you will know what I mean here. You hear it in sport all the time. We were really disappointed with our performance today. Disappointment is all about expectations. Again, if I'm so biased on this, because I still remember, I'll just tell a little story, but I remember my dad, it was Christmas Day 2011, I think it was, and my dad told me, and it wasn't my dad's heart, it was someone else that essentially was in his ear. And my dad told me that it was Christmas Day, he said, we'll be disappointed if you don't get here by X time. It was like, if you don't get here by 12:30 or 1 o'clock. And because, if we got there after that time, then the vegetables would be, I don't know, not fresh or freshly cooked or whatever. He said he'd be disappointed if we weren't there at the time. And I was ropeable. I said, Dad, last time I checked, we're the family with the young child that lives 2 hours from your house. We're working our butt off to get there at a good time. But I think we were going to have I think Maya was going to have a sleep, and she didn't sleep all that well in the car. So I think we were going to give her a sleep at home and then travel down the highway. I said, Dad, this is crazy. You can use the D word all you like, but Maya's having a sleep at home, and we'll get to your place fresh as a daisy rather than with a really upset child. And the D word was purely based on expectation. And so I want you to be very clear on what expectations you have. So my dad had an expectation that we would be there at a certain time. We weren't going to be there at a certain time, so that led to disappointment. You want to be very clear on what expectations you have on other people. And if you do have expectations on other people, which I'm actually not a big fan of, I think it's wiser to have no expectations on other people. If you do have expectations on other people, you want to be very clear that they know that you have that expectation on them. So if you have an expectation on your child, that child better know that you have that expectation on them, because then I can guarantee you they will work harder, not always, but a lot of the time, they'll work harder on meeting that expectation if they have bought into that expectation as well. If it's like an agreement, then you are much more likely to achieve what you want. What about frustration? Expectations you have for yourself aren't being met, which is frustrating. The consequences of that, again, can make us fearful. What about overwhelm? Overwhelm occurs when you have an expectation that something will happen by a certain time, you'll get something done, or when the outcome you want for yourself is in too big a chunk. The mouthful of food is simply too big to swallow. Let's stick on overwhelm for a moment, because I know it's a big thing for a lot of people. The key with overwhelm is to get clear on what the smallest chunk is that you can handle. What is the smallest chunk? We often say, I'm going to run a marathon. No, just go and run for 5 minutes. 5 minutes. There's great lessons and wisdom in overwhelm. Overwhelm comes down to 2 elements, time or task. Write that down, time or task. Either the time frame you've given yourself isn't big enough, so you get overwhelmed because you want to pay the bill, you want to do 50 things in 20 minutes. So the time frame you have given yourself isn't big enough. Or the task you want to do is too big a task all by itself. You want to write a book. Or just write a book. Write a book? That's a big mouthful to swallow. That's a big task. Write a paragraph of a book? I think that's doable. Write a book? That's a big chunk. You might only give, as I said, that's the example I was going to use. A great way to deal with the task fear is to chunk it down to the smallest piece imaginable. You could look at the day today, and anything you didn't get done was probably because it was in too big a chunk. As I have a glass of water. If you're writing a book, you might commit to 1 sentence per day. As I was saying about a paragraph a day, this is a great example. When one of my mentoring clients, Audra, she was very overwhelmed in her book writing process. We chunked it down to writing 1 paragraph a day. Impressively, she's finished her book. And look, it started with I think it was a chapter a week, and that just became too overwhelming for Audra, so we made it a paragraph a day. I know other people that aim for 1 page a day. Whatever the smallest chunk is that you can handle is what you do. The next bit of wisdom after that is to then make the small task the first thing you do each day. Just like I used on that previous example with exercise instead of cleaning. The most important thing must get done first. Most people put put the most important thing at the bottom of the list, and it never gets done. So people go, I don't have time to exercise. No, it's not that you don't have time. We've all got 24 hours. It's that you do the cleaning at 6 o'clock. That's not the time to do the cleaning. You do the most important thing at the beginning of the day, because you and I both know, come 9, 10, 11 o'clock, demands of the day kick into gear. Come lunchtime, it's done. I just recorded a podcast with Lawrence about this. It came out today, Inside the Champion's Mind. We went through the moment we get up to the moment we go to bed. How do we do it? What are our rituals? We go into minute detail about our days, and we both agree that, come lunchtime, the day's done. And so Lawrence and I both only do our mentoring calls in the afternoon, because we know we don't do our best work in the afternoon in terms of our big content creation or, building events or the rest of it. So we let other people's energy fill us up. So, I did a couple of mentoring calls today, one with Jody, who I think's on the webinar tonight. That kind of stuff jazzes me up. But I don't do those calls at 9 o'clock in the morning. I've got other things that must be done when my energy is like bouncing off the walls. I do that from 9 o'clock till lunchtime. Mentoring calls in the afternoon. That is the power of priorities. So are you doing the most important thing in your life at the beginning of the day? If not, I would strongly urge you to reconsider. All right, now I'll give you an example. This was an example from Monique from our call from Tuesday. We were doing a call on Tuesday. Monique's part of the Exceptional Life Blueprint. Monique is studying the Cindy O'Meara education program. She was committing 3 hours a day to the work. However, her first task that she had for herself was to spend from 9 a.m. till 9:30 checking and responding to emails. Now, what do you think is more important? Now, again, you could all probably take this example and go, you know what, I could do what Marcus is doing. I could do mentoring calls, because you'll all agree here. And again, this is not a reflection on Monique, because we all do this. We all do this in our life. And I'll tell you the example, and then you can recognize that we all do it. But it's so much easier to help other people in their life, right, rather than to help ourselves. So let's have a look here. So Monique was doing emails from 9 to 9:30, but then she was finding that her day would spiral out of control from there. So what do you think is more important to her life purpose? Checking emails or doing Cindy's program? Now, she really wants to build her career in the health and nutrition space. So we could all know on this call that Cindy's course is going to provide her more life purpose fulfillment than responding to emails. So I just said to Monique, make emails the last thing you do in the day. Cindy's course is priority one. It's the 9 o'clock job. And then the other thing we suggested on the call was, don't do it at home, because she had other distractions at home. I said, go down to your favorite cafe and do it there. Get a cup of tea, put the program on, and do it there. And I guarantee you'll do it. You won't have the distractions that you have at home. There's no washing machine. There's no dishes. There's no gardening. There's nothing else. You'll get it done at the cafe. And again, 2 small little shifts, and Monique thought like a whole life had changed. And I was like, you know what? It's the accountability, but it's just having someone else that's not emotionally involved in your life for some support. And that's why I do think the blueprint, or whether it's coming to a live event or having a mentoring call, this is what it's all about. Having people that aren't emotionally involved in your life, having that peer group to support you to live your exceptional life. So chunk it down. Whatever the case, chunk it down. If you're finding yourself in overwhelm because you've put a crazy deadline on yourself, or you feel that you're behind in some way, then you've got 2 options. Get some help so that you can meet your deadline, or extend your deadline. Without sounding brutally simplistic, it really is that simple. So hopefully by now you're feeling better about having fears and recognizing that the fear is not what we need to banish. It's our disempowered meanings and our beliefs about our fears and our emotions that is important to change. When we change the meaning we have behind some of our disempowering emotions, then our fears can often our fear might not actually go away, but the fear becomes easier to deal with. And that is when it becomes exciting. That's when we become scared and excited. So take a moment now to write down on your worksheet the wisdom, the power that lies within any of those disempowering emotions. What are they telling you? What warning signals are they presenting you with? Remember, there is great power in your fear. There's great power in any emotions that you don't actually think are great. Disempowering emotions are powerful. Please type in the comments box what you're learning from your fears. Again, I think people will get a real great insight when you write down what you're learning from your fears, because I know there's a bit of resistance to, what do you mean I can learn from my anxiety? What do you mean I can learn from the feeling that I'm not good enough? What do you mean I can learn from the feeling of distraction? What do you mean I can learn from it? What can you learn from it? Every one of you will have different answers. Remember, your comments inspire others, so share generously. I'm going to look at some of these comments coming through. There's been a number of them. I'll answer some of them now before we get into the next section. All right, just bear with me whilst I check this out. Cool. All righty. So let's have a look here, folks. What if you feel like you have a number of important things to do? First thing, well, there's still an order there, Melinda. If you could only do one of exercise, meditation, or journaling, what one? See, for me, as a parent, I used to love the journaling and other things that I'd like to do, but now it's just exercise. It's purely exercise. Meditation I used to do, particularly pre-kids, but now it's definitely just one thing, and it's exercise. So you do the priority so that, if the kids come to you in the middle of your meditation, you're like, you know what, that's cool. I've had a win anyway because I've already exercised. And then the journaling, that might happen once the kids are off to school. Maybe the meditation happens once the kids are off to school. But you're far less likely to exercise, generally speaking, once the kids have been dropped off to school. But meditation and journaling, you're more likely to do. Jenna says she's angry with herself for not having the confidence I used to in regards to career and making social connections. Jenna, you got to be, if this is the Jenna I know, though, you're looking at a career transition. So you would be confident in the area of your career that you used to perform in, but that doesn't bring you the level of fulfillment that you once had. I know when I entered chiropractic, not that I'm a chiro, but obviously running a chiropractic center, like there's so much to learn. So when we're learning, we can often feel less confident. But when we know stuff, as our mastery quest, goes on, we begin to feel more confident, more empowered. Now, there's a lot here. So I'm going to do a lot of this at the end of the webinar because I've still got a few more slides I want to get through, if that's okay. For the people that want the content, I'll do the content, and I'll answer those questions at the end. All right, so you know the warning signs of your fear. You know how to mitigate your fears. You know the lessons your emotions are telling you. I want you to go within yourself for a moment and decide whether you are ready to fully commit to learning from your fears and you are committed to shifting from scared and disempowered to scared and excited. And if you are already on scared and excited, you are committed to staying there, because a continuity goal is harder than a transition goal. It's easy to go on a diet of scared and excited for 90 days and do what you love and love what you do, but then you hit a roadblock, a massive roller coaster, and it's just too big and you go back. Okay? So I want you to be really clear. I want you to be really clear what you're committing to. So when you see your worksheet here, you'll recognize a statement there. It says, I'm committed to. I want you to write a statement of commitment that you are dedicated to achieving whatever it is that you've been scared of. So you might say, I'm dedicated to starting a blog. I'm dedicated to creating a professional Facebook page. I'm dedicated to selling my business. I'm dedicated to going all out and creating, my own business, whatever it is, making soaps, making chocolate, whatever it is that you want to do. You might say, I'm dedicated to moving my body 15 minutes a day. I'm dedicated to removing processed sugar out of my diet. I'm dedicated to healing my relationship with my spouse. I'm dedicated to improving my relationship with my spouse. I'm dedicated to whatever it is, write it down on your worksheet. And then if you're happy to, write it down in the comments. Write it down in the comments. And again, I see lots of questions coming through here, guys. So please continue to put them in. Send those questions in, and I promise I will answer them at the end of this webinar. So when you know what you're committed to and you know the importance of chunking it down, I want you to write down 3 exceptional steps for tomorrow and the following days to inch you 3 steps closer to realizing the commitment. Now, if that's putting you on the spot too much, you don't have to do it right now. If you're a male brain like me and it's difficult to listen and write at the same time, then don't worry too much. But I want you just to commit to yourself that you will write down 3 action items, and they've got to be small. So Shelley's just said here, I'm committed to weekly blogging. Shelley, I'm going to say 250 words, right? I know, and that's kind of like minimum and maximum because weekly blogging is a great commitment, but weekly blogging, I'm just going to say it right now, I find it so hard to blog weekly. I know I podcast weekly, which is, in theory a blog, but I like weekly blogging. If you're going to write a blog article, and a really good one, it's a big task. Okay, so I want you to recognize 250 words, and I want you to feel like you've had a win with 250 words. All right, so those 3 steps, guys, don't make it too big. Make it small enough that you know without any shadow of a doubt that you can and you will do this, because confidence is very important at the moment. It's very important. So I want you to absolutely nail those 3 steps. It's got to be very measurable. It can't be, I'm going to go for a walk. It must be, I'm going to walk for at least 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 20 minutes. Numbers make it measurable. Numbers make it much easier to do. Whatever it is for you, just make it measurable. Make it so small it even feels too small, but just make it specific, okay? The key then is to do this every day, or at least every working day if it's a work goal. One small step every day to inch you closer to achieving whatever dream it is you have. But it's got to be an important step, okay? So it can't be it's to watch Oprah if that's got nothing to do with what you want to do. It's got to be really important to you, like exercise. But if this is new to you, exercise, then it's just 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 5 push-ups or 5 sit-ups or 5 squats or lunges, whatever is new and novel and somewhat challenging, do it. Think of the Audra book writing example. Writing a page a day was too much, so it became a paragraph a day. If that was too big, I would have made it a sentence a day. I then would have made it a word a day. Anything to create progress. What I haven't told you is that I added some accountability with Audra. Audra committed that she would shout her friend's lunch if she didn't do a paragraph per day. And the kicker was that Audra wasn't allowed to attend that lunch. So now for Audra, and for Audra, her social life is a big deal. You can be rest assured that she wrote her paragraph every day. And naturally enough, it became more than a paragraph. But that added accountability is really important for you. So you might need to think of what's the accountability that is going to make these happen. Those 3 action steps, do you need to tell your kids that you're going to do them, and if not, you're going to pay them all $50? You might want to put in the comments box if you know the accountability that's going to work for you, what it is, because what the accountability that might work for you might work for others as well. So put it in. I would love to know, as I'm saying, the other incredible souls on this webinar would as well. Now, after the webinar, I want you to think about how you can include others in this. And as I've just said, if it's too hard to think about it now, include how you can include others. Kids are really, really, really good. Now, before we move on to some personal help here, and I'll give you all the details about this special announcement about the first public offering to Exceptional Life Blueprint Live in Byron, I want to make one more comment. Before I make that one more comment, I want to plug my laptop into power because I'm slowly running out of battery. But as I said, tonight is really all about doing, but as you can see there, your life purpose will come more out of your character traits and your skill set. I'll expand on that in a moment. Just give me 2 seconds whilst I move some. Oh, as you can tell, I'm in a cafe here. I'm just going to crawl under a desk and plug this in. All right. Okey-doke. Thank you, folks. You know, we're definitely live here. All right, so write this down if you can. My life purpose will come more out of my character than my skill. Write it down. Say to yourself every day, my life purpose comes more out of my character than my skill. Let's look at Mother Teresa or Oprah Winfrey or Nelson Mandela or my favorite, Alice Hertz Sommer, who is the oldest survivor of the Holocaust. Was it their character set or their skill set that made their life purpose resonate with the world? You and I both know that it was their character. Oprah is great on TV, but so are thousands of others. It's her tenacity, her resilience, her overcoming great odds, her character that has endeared her to the world. So let me be very clear. If you can nail your character and teach yourself, if you have to love your character traits, in other words, teach yourself to love yourself and feel just how valuable you are in this world, then you will find it much easier to live your life purpose. To give you my own example on this, I work on a character set that I know is the best version of me. Whether I'm working on the Exceptional Life Blueprint, the Wellness Couch, spending time with my family and my friends, I do my best to stick to my strongest character traits. I have a mantra, which is all about my identity and my character. And it's this: I am inspired, I am enthusiastic, I am grounded. Hopefully you think I'm an inspired person, an enthusiastic person, and someone who has their feet on the ground. So what do you think of you? And are you giving that to the world? Perhaps you want to pick 3 character traits and use a similar mantra, 3 parts of your soul that you embody or want to embody. For me, I have a reminder on my phone that comes on at 9 o'clock in the morning, 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. each day to remind me that I'm inspired, enthusiastic, and grounded. Maybe you want to do something similar to remind yourself of the great things about you. Let's say this another way, and I would urge you to write this down. Despite my poor use of the human language here, your human beingness is more important than your human doingness. So if you right now don't really know what the doing part of your life purpose is, I'm telling you now, you must focus on the being part and absolutely nail that. And the doing part will present itself. Be inspired by life right now. Be joyous about life right now. Be grateful for life right now. Be the best you right now, regardless of the circumstances you find yourself in. Be a nice person. Be respectful. Be generous. Be helpful. And then, and only then, are you much more likely to find clarity on what it is you want to do with your life. To put it another way, in the words of the great Bob Proctor, it's not what you do, but how you do it that's important. It's not whether you're a lawyer, it's how you go about being a lawyer. It's not whether you're a mum, it's how you go about being a mum. How are you going about your days? What character traits are you bringing in to being a mum or being a lawyer or being a doctor, or should I say doing a doctor or doing a lawyer or doing a mum or whatever it is? What is it that you're bringing in? What character traits are you bringing into your 24 hours each day? Remember, your days make up your month, your weeks, your months, your years, your life. So put the best version of you out there today and tomorrow and let the magic happen. Whether you're cleaning the kitchen, consulting with patients, running after the kids as a stay-at-home parent, an author, whether you're an office manager, a secretary, a corporate high flyer, a podcaster, a coach, a blogger, whatever your 9-to-5 commitment is, focus on how you are doing it. All right. I hope you've enjoyed this tonight so far, folks. This is just a snapshot of what I want to share with you in Byron. If you decide to take your exceptional life that step further, we all know there is a big elephant in the room with any type of learning, particularly digital learning. That elephant being that some of you on the call right now, no matter how much I love you and no matter how awesome a human being you are, won't follow through on what we've covered tonight. It's not because you're a bad person or a weak person. It's simply human nature. As much as this pains me to observe, this is consistently the case across any group of people. Post-learning implementation across the world, believe it or not, is very low. We are content thirsty, but we really suck at implementation. As someone once said, you and I are into self-development, not shelf development. So to put tonight's lesson on the shelf would not be a good idea. Don't leave your dreams for a truly exceptional life just sitting on the shelf. That would make tonight a complete waste of time. There is one proven solution to making the most from tonight or any other thing that you learn, and it's relatively simple in order for you to break through and take your life to the next level. And I've repeated it a number of times already, and that is accountability every single time. I mentioned it earlier tonight, and I'll say it again. Everything you want in your life is waiting for you to claim it. The only thing stopping you is how accountable you are making yourself to getting it. I've mentioned a number of examples of accountability that works for people: paying children money if you don't behave exceptionally, taking friends out for lunch, not allowing yourself to attend. They're just two of the weird, wacky, but downright successful ways for you to make some major shifts. Since launching the Exceptional Life Blueprint 18 months ago, I've been thrilled to be able to provide some very real and serious accountability to people wanting to create the life they were born to live. Many of you on the call tonight. Whether it's through one-on-one mentoring, my online program, or my live events, nothing brings me more joy than seeing people make massive exceptional shifts in their life. You guys really are the fuel that keeps me going. You might think it's cliche, but this is how people get their fulfillment. People like me, this is how I get fulfilled, by seeing people like you do what you do. Whether it's overcoming panic attacks at the thought of driving to actually driving a car, which is the story of the exceptional Amy, whether it's writing a book, starting a business, transitioning from one career to another, which is countless exceptionals, or simply being a better parent or better human being, the fuel that keeps me going is people like you taking your life from mediocre to magnificent on every level. But the key here is it's taking your life. You got to take your life from mediocre to magnificent on every level. So my favorite way to provide accountability is, without doubt, this annual event, this ELB Live. The reason why this does it for me is because it's a real life event. Most of my mentoring is done on Skype. My online program is digital. My podcasts are digital. My blogs, my social media is all digital. This webinar is digital. This event in Byron is real. It's analog. It's old-fashioned. More importantly, it goes for 2 days. We spend real quality time together, over 16 hours, in fact, minimum, which allows you the time to create the blueprint for your exceptional life. So this is how it works. On Saturday, we create 4 blueprints, and on Sunday, we create another 4. Saturday is devoted to creating your exceptional life purpose blueprint, movement, social life, and nutrition blueprint. Sunday is devoted to creating exceptional relationships, growth, wealth, and spirit. We do it in a very easy to follow, very entertaining, engaging manner. And most importantly, you have the good old A word, the accountability, you have the guidance, and you have an incredible peer group of people to make it happen. Guaranteed, you will make lifelong friends on this weekend. You will meet people who see the world in the same way as you do. You won't be the one with 2 heads. Everyone at ELB Live has 2 heads. We are all exceptionals. You will no longer be the weird one in your friendship group who wants to play a bigger game in life. Guaranteed, with a peer group of truly exceptional human beings, you will commit like never before to making your life exceptional on every level. This is not just a weekend about your life purpose. It's not just about your health or your relationships. We immerse ourselves in all the important, vital parts of life that really, really matter. We tie in some Byron-only experiences into the weekend. We include a walk up to the lighthouse. This is a photo from last year. We take in the remarkable views of Byron. We're going to see whales. We'll see dolphins catching waves. It is a beautiful weekend, not just in the room, but out of the room as well. Now, again, if you don't come, you've got to ask yourself this question. It's not about coming to my event. It's about just doing something massive to create your exceptional life. If you don't attend an event like this, how will your year pan out? How will your life pan out? If you continue to get more of the same from your life, is that a good thing? 1 or 2 of you might say yes. However, I know that most of you want more out of your life. You want to be truly exceptional in each area of your life. You don't want to suffer the consequences and regret of a mediocre life, mediocre health, mediocre relationships, mediocre wealth, and so on. You truly want a magnificent life. So I invite you to join me in Byron Bay the weekend, July 30 and 31. July 30 and 31. It's a magnificent winter escape where you truly can focus on you and no one else. No kids, no dishes, no washing, no domestic duties. And on top of that, you're in one of the most picturesque towns and parts of Australia. So for those of you that know me or have consulted with me before, this is how it works money-wise. You know that my hourly charge-out rate in mentoring or anything else is $5.50 an hour or $4,400 a day. Typically, ELB Live is valued at $14.97 per ticket. We're talking over 16 hours of contact hours. So in itself, that would be great value at under $100 an hour. However, I'm doing a very special super early bird promotion until Monday night, which is $297 per ticket, or a double pass for just $497. So that's $297 as a super early bird promotion until Monday night, or a double pass for $497. This is a great weekend for couples to do together. I think Liz has just said here that she is bringing her husband. But yes, you're missing Cindy's weekend, I know. So that's the thing, it's so hard with events these days. Everyone's got events on because, again, we're craving real life connections. This is a great weekend for couples to do, as I said, or bring a friend along. If you have a teenager 16 or older, you may want to expose them to the ELB philosophy at an age most of us on the webinar wish we had it as well. So yeah, 16 and over if you want to bring a child along. Now, I'm adding on a super special bonus for the action takers, and that is this. register before Monday. This slide says Sunday, but if you register before Monday night, 11:59 p.m., you'll receive a 30-minute mentoring call with myself to truly strategize your exceptional life. The call is valued at $275. It'll also be provided to the second ticket holder when you purchase a double pass. So that's my gift to you for taking action and raising the bar in your life. Now, I'm going to ramp it up a bit. As I say this, I'm just looking at it, and I know Monday is, what is it, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. 4 sleeps away. So I'm going to ramp this up a bit because I know there's people on the call. I know some of you can't make it. Those of you that have already been a part of the ELB, you'll already know about this weekend. There's those of you that aren't part of the Exceptional Life Blueprint that are learning about this for the first time. So I know there's people on here that can't make it. There's people on here that can make it. But I'm going to ramp this up a bit because I know as myself, someone that's spent over $150,000 on personal growth, you get a pretty good idea in your gut whether an event is right for you. And so I'm going to ramp this up a bit for those of you that are feeling that feeling in the gut that know this is the right thing to do. I'm big on people taking action when they feel compelled to do so. So this is what I'm going to do. If you register, for people who register tonight before midnight, and my system will tell me when you enroll, I'm going to recognize you with a second mentoring call. So the response, the clarity, and the results people get from these calls blows my mind. So if you register before 12 midnight tonight or 11:59 p.m. tonight, you will receive a second call. So we're talking $550 in value for registering for ELB Live. This is the first time I've released it to the public. So I want to make it super extra special. We had a great weekend last year. We did it in June last year. This year will be in July once I'm back from the Korea longevity retreat. So there'll be even more fresh content. But as I say, it's an extra special weekend. I want to make it even more special this year. And the way that I can make it even more special this year is by helping you have some momentum going into the weekend by having a mentoring call with you, and hopefully two if you register by midnight tonight. So that's the extra special. Now I'll put up here, you'll see, here we go. Hold on a minute. I'll put the link up now. You should see this come up, guys. If you should see the link come up. I will send you an email about this as well. But you should see the link up there under offers so that you can do it. If you just go to byron.marcuspierce.com.au, you will see all the information on that website where you can book it in and you can share that with your friends and family. Now, for those that aren't quite sure if this is for them or if you're sitting on the fence, there's a 3-day cooling off period. So if you decide to enroll, but for some reason you get buyer's remorse or you break a leg or something happens in the next 72 hours, you get a 100% refund on your tickets. No questions asked. That is always a good thing to know. If you need to know that you can register tonight, get a bonus for the 2 calls, or register before Monday, get a 1-call bonus, and know that you've got 3 days from the time of your purchase to get a 100% money back refund. Now, just to repeat my broken record message, folks, and then we're going to take questions. This weekend is all about accountability. There are many ways to get accountability. This is my favorite way to provide it. As I said, it's an old-fashioned, real-life event. Enough of the meandering through life, hoping and wishing to live an exceptional life. Book yourself in for a dose of accountability in a beautiful part of the country so that you truly will make the rest of your life the best of your life. Alrighty, folks, let's do some questions before we wrap it up. That is the slides done. If you've got any questions about ELB Live in Byron or any questions tonight, I'm going to go through the comments box now. You can ask me any question, personal, professional, I don't care what it is. I will take the slides off. I will bring my camera back on. Hello again. Woo! Alrighty, let's go back into the chat box and have a look at this. Now, just going to have a sip of water. Liam says, was my £150 personal development worth it? Liam, hand on heart, absolutely. It was. I would have paid $1 million for it. Having gone through all of the challenges in life that we all go through and the rest of it, absolutely. The biggest thing that I recognize, and this is kind of the way that I see it because this is the way I say it. We spent, a house deposit on, it's a good house deposit, on, it's a 10% deposit, on personal growth. And really, we would have a house if we didn't do the personal growth. That's the way I see it. But I look at a lot of people that I went to school with, a lot of people that I've seen buy houses, but not have the personal growth, not have the self-development, not have expanded themselves mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. Emotionally is a big one. Knowing how to deal with your emotions is massive. What good is it having a house if you don't know how to communicate with your wife, with your spouse, with your partner, with your employees, with your staff members, with your friends? That for me is a big one. And I know I help so many people now with their relationships. I was just doing a mastery call last night, and we got into a very robust conversation about how men and women communicate differently to each other. And a lot of that was from a lot of the learning that I spent all that money on. So, yeah, every day of the week, I'm massive on personal growth. So Kathy Lee, I will send out an email with the details, absolutely. But just on a URL basis, I'll just type it in here. marcus.pierce.com.au. So if you go to that link, Kathy Lee or anyone else that needs a link, that will show you all the details, and you can register there. And again, register before midnight tonight, and we will book in for 2 calls to get some serious, what was I going to say? Serious momentum. All right, Jody's eating a chocolate pudding cup. Yum. All right, I'll tell you guys, if you haven't seen chocolate pudding cup, go to marcuspearce.com.au/videos, and you will see a YouTube video down there. Now, this is a chocolate pudding cup. That's an empty one. Cacao powder, coconut oil, tahini, honey. I had cashew pieces, peppermint oil, and Jody, I had some frozen raspberries in there tonight. Do whatever you like with it. Have a look at the YouTube video. See me do my best Ian Hewitson and show you how to make it. But it is the best chocolate dessert in the world. It's my morning tea every day. And I bring it in here every day, get my almond latte and have my CPC every day. When's the next ELB, given that I can't attend in July? Carolyn, great question. It's an annual event. So at the moment, I do it once annually every year in Byron at the Byron Theatre. Oh, hold on. So, can you? Oh, so it's all stopped. Oh, bugger. All on pear-shaped. All right. Any chance to still be here and you can hear me? Hello. Anyone? Room? It is. Not live. Not live. Oh, I'm confused. All right. Well, I'm not sure if this goes on the other one or not. Anyway, we'll have to work something out. Room.